Tough time never lasts. Only tough people last.
Hello, good morrow friends. If you've never been on my channel before, my name is Marie-Laure, okay? If you're French, I know you know that I'm butchering the name, but I just cannot have everyone trying to go, you know, Marie-Laure. It's not gonna work, do you know what I mean? I live in the UK. Right, so today I wanted to do a little advice video. A young advice video. I haven't done one of these in ages. I've been wanting to do this one because I feel like there are a lot of people who were like me when it comes to money. Okay, I think sometimes when you grow up and you know you've had struggles financially and everything, you know, when you get money, you just move a bit mad, you know, you move a bit crazy. So this is a whole bunch of mistakes that I've made with money in my 20s. Now I am still in my 20s, but you know, I'm at the very end of that journey, so I felt like I could title it this. But anyway, okay, right, so let's get into them. Basically the goal is don't do these things. Right, so in no particular order. Okay, so the first one is too much impulse spending. Okay, a lot of this comes from having a bit of a scarcity mindset or just a lack of self-control, really. So for me, it was a bit of both. Okay, it was the fact that like, oh my gosh, this is here right now, especially if something was on sale. Oh my goodness, if something was on sale, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this is the only time that I can get this. Or just a lack of discipline, you know, just living my best life, you know, I see it, I like it, I want it, I get it, you know what I mean? Now, you know, I'm a lot more, I think a bit more about what I want to buy. And actually, when you really think about it, most of the time, you're always going to see something that you want. Do you know what I mean? Like, you're always going to see something that, you know, there's a dress you like this month. Oh my gosh, it's on sale. It's probably out of your budget or whatever. So you think like, oh my gosh, let me get it. But like, is it really that deep? Because next month there'll be a dress that you like as well. Do you know what I mean? So for me, it's like, unless it is like a spectacular deal, calm down with the impulse buying. Okay, so the next thing is spending my money on more trendy items over classic items. I would sometimes get sucked into certain trends, which would mean that I would buy things one year that I would look at the next year and be like, I don't really like that. And then I would just buy stuff that I liked to replace the stuff I didn't like from the last year. But because that was also kind of trendy, it would be the same the year after. Just waste of money. I don't really buy trendy clothes anymore, like honestly. I think part of that comes with getting older and figuring out your style and all of that. It's more sensible to spend on more classic items over trendy items. So for example, you know, a leather jacket, right? Like my leather jacket, let me actually just get my leather jacket. Right, this is my leather jacket. I bought this oh my goodness, is it 10 years ago? Wow, yeah, when I was at university. So I bought this coat from All Saints when I was at uni. This guy has served me well for all these years. Do you know what I mean? Classic. Classic. That's not gonna really go out of style, or it hasn't gone out of style. I can wear that every single year and, you know, I've got me money's worth. There is you can do a couple of trends. I'm not saying don't do trends at all, but like, just don't let your whole thing be like, I need to follow the trends, I need to follow the trends. It's a waste of money. It's a waste of money. Right, so the next one is hiding my spending. So I used to do this thing where, you know, I'd have my like debit card, and once I felt like I'd spent too much on my debit card, I would like kid myself, buy something on my credit card or like on another card somewhere, right? Because I had a bunch of cards. And because I hadn't spent it on like my main account, in my head it's like I didn't spend it. So it's like, who was I kidding, you know? At the end of the month or whatever, I would just look at my normal account and be like, oh wow, you've done so well. But really, like, my credit cards and everything else were just an absolute joke, an atrocity. But I would just ignore those, which brings me to my next point. Ignoring my bank accounts, not checking my bank accounts, right? Because do you know what it was? When I would check my bank accounts, it would remind me of the stupidity that I'd done that month, okay? Like I said, if I looked at all my accounts, I'd have to come to terms with the fact that I'd been an idiot. Don't do it. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself, because it's gonna have to be you who puts fixes, well, I mean, unless you've got like really supportive friends and family or people who could just give you money for free, but it's gonna have to be you who fixes that mess. So you don't benefit at all by ignoring your bank accounts. Make sure you are keeping track of your bank accounts, your spending, like, you know, don't be a fool. Don't be like I was. Okay, do better. Do better. All right. Okay, so the next one is spending in anticipation. Right, so this is basically where I would spend before I got the money, right? And I think this happens a lot when you have like a stable job, you know, that you're going to make a certain income, whatever, blah, blah, blah. But I would do this thing of like, oh, you know, well, I'm going to get paid, so I'm just going to buy it now. And then when I get paid, like, then I'll just pay myself back. But it just, do you know what? It would just land me in a bit of a circle of just like overspending every single month. So every single month I would just spend more than I made that month, because I would then wait for the next month to pay myself back. Basically, it's just not a good way to manage your money. It's not a good way to manage your cash flow. It just means that you're constantly overspending, right? So just don't do it. Spend what you have. Do not spend in anticipation as much as possible. Okay. So the next one, right? Having no budget at all. At a point, yeah, I actually didn't have a budget at all. I had no like plans for where my money was going. There was no like targets, no planning, nothing. So you can imagine that my spending was just shocking. And you know what mine was as well, right, guys? Like, I never was that guy. I was never that guy to be like spending on really expensive single ticket items. I was never that guy, yeah? I was always like, you know, £10 here, £20 here, £30 here, £5 here, £10 here, £20 here, £30 here. And then it would be like at the end of the month, you would just like, well, I was gonna say you would just look, but like I didn't look because I was ignoring my spending. But yeah, generally, I would just be confused as to how I had spent so much money. But it would be like Uber here, oh my gosh, if you know how much money I used to spend on Ubers, don't, because it's actually embarrassment. Like, it was very embarrassing. I was like, what? When the transport system in London is so good, like, are you taking the piss?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Are you? Do you know, at a point I used to live in central London, King's Cross, which I think is one of the most well-connected stations ever. And I have never spent so much money on Uber, because it's like, oh, I'd go out in Oxford Circus, or like, you know, just two train stops away. But like, instead of just walking to the station, getting the train, I'd be like, let me just get an Uber, you know? Let's just get an Uber. It'd be like £7, that's nothing. But you go and come back, that's £14. And then what, you went to eat, and then you spent this, but it just, all the little spending, it all adds up. But anyway, yeah, just not having a budget at all, not tracking my spending, absolute shocker, don't do it, okay? Right, okay, so the next point is having, God, all right, I haven't got a long, right, I need to go put some rice on in a second. Right, so the next point is having too strict of a budget, okay, and an inflexible budget with no contingency. So, as I said, I spent a lot of time where I just didn't have a budget at all, which was foolishness. But then I went the opposite way, and I was like, gonna, you know, this year I'm gonna really sort myself out, okay, and I'm gonna make a really strict and detailed budget in Excel, because I'm just an Excel guru. I have to use Excel a lot at work and all of that. So I did this Excel budget, right, and it was like, you know, £120 a month for, you know, grocery shopping, you know, £300 a month, but you know, I really do you know what happened, right? I'm not an admin gal, so like for me to, you know, try and manually log my spending, and you know, be on such a strict budget, like for me life just doesn't work that way, you know. I'd have, I don't know, a few more birthdays this month than usual, so then I'd have to spend a bit more on gifts this month than usual, and then my strict budget would just go out of the window. Do you know what I mean? Like, life just doesn't really work like that. So yeah, so I don't budget like that anymore at all. It doesn't work for me. I need something that tracks my spending live. Like, I need a dynamic budget. Like, I can't do this static, strict Excel budget lifestyle. I'm not that babe. I can't do it. I can't do it. Okay, so the next point is not clearing my credit card debt. Yeah, not clearing my credit cards. Guys, listen, credit cards, when you're not disciplined with your finances, are the worst thing ever. Like, ever. No, because ever, if you're not disciplined. Initially, I remember I used to be quite scared of credit cards, so I would just be like super disciplined, like, oh my gosh, pay it off ASAP, blah blah blah, you don't want any of those interest charges, blah blah. But after some time, after I dug myself into a hole, smart, you're so smart, Marie-Laure, wow, why would you do this? I wasn't that scared of them anymore, because I was just like, yeah, you know, what's a bit of interest, do you know what I mean? If I can get that outfit now, what's a bit of interest next month?
Congratulations, you played yourself.
Which is so silly. Don't do that, okay? Only, my thing is now, yeah, my rule is now, yeah, only spend on credit if you can pay it back. Like, honestly, if you can pay it back without interest. Right, okay, the next one. Payday loans.
Why?
I don't even know what payday loans, whether they really exist these days anymore. I don't know. I don't really see like Wonga adverts anymore. Anyone who knows about Wonga back in the day, it was like, oh, you know, just apply like 2 seconds and you'll get the money today. And then you can just pay it back like, you know, whenever. But let me tell you something. The interest rate on payday loans is ginormous. It was absolutely ridiculous how much you would have to pay to borrow that money. And then if you were late, I just thank God I was never late with like a payday loan payment. Listen, if you miss your payment, jeez, my goodness, the interest, stop it. And the problem is, it stays on your credit file for what feels like ages, and it looks so bad, guys. It looks so bad on your credit file. Payday loans, never do it. Let me tell you, never, don't go there. Never do it. I did about, I don't know, probably like 3-4 times in my early 20s. I think, yeah, when I was like 21, 22. Yeah, don't. Just no. Okay, so the next one, going on holidays that I couldn't afford, right? So everyone has a bit of their like vice kind of thing, I guess. And mine was traveling, okay? Okay, let me tell you something. I was very good at getting like travel deals. I won't even lie to you. Like, I would get the best like flight prices, you know, whatever. But I was willing to travel and stay in hostels, stay in like cheap places just because I wanted to travel, yeah? But even having said all of that, all my little travel deals and all that, like, no, honey, I was still couldn't afford to travel as much as I did, okay? And it's also because I never would save up for my holidays. Like, it was so silly. I would never save up for trips, ever. So I would just use what I had for that trip. And because, like I said, I wasn't tracking my money, I wasn't budgeting, whatever. I never actually really had money to spend other than like the money I earned that month, which would just put me in a deficit because I'm just doing, you know, hot girl summer on holidays. Well, not really. I was staying in hostels in Asia and stuff, and it wasn't really the same. But oh my gosh, I just remember every single time that I would come back from holiday, I would be broke. Stop. I would be broke, like brokety broke, like baroque. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, if you're gonna go on holiday, you're gonna do something like pretty expensive, like please save up towards it, or at least now, you know, have like a holiday fund, you know, like just money that you put aside so that when you do travel, you can just use that. That's what I do now. Okay, so the next one is always dipping into my savings. Now, I did have a little bit of savings, not very much, I'll be honest. But I would always dip into my savings. So basically it'd be like, I'd have a bit of savings and then that bit of savings would just go, and then I'd try and put aside another bit of savings. But yeah, it's if your savings aren't growing, there's something wrong, okay? And that's what happened to me. Despite earning like pretty good money, I was just broke because, yeah, of all the things that I've talked about, but also just dipping into my savings all the time. Like, what's the point? I was not growing my savings. Absolutely silly. Don't do that. Don't do that, my friend. Okay, so the next one is eating out too often, right? So I love a good restaurant. Right? And But the problem was, I would do like restaurants and I would like, you know, socialise with friends over food. And in London, let me be real with you, like in London, as soon as you go in central London, you've spent like £50 minimum. Like any activity that, well, no, not any. I mean, you could go to a museum. All the museums are free. All the art galleries are free, actually. Actually, there's a lot of free stuff that you could do. Yeah, maybe I'll do a video on this, like just not spending money in London, like all the things you can do and spend no money. But anyway, right, but we would often go out to eat, isn't it? So that would just usually end up costing a bit, especially if you're buying drinks, alcohol, oh my goodness, costs so much. But yeah, but the problem was I would also buy my lunch out. So when I was working in the city before we, you know, the panoramic, and we had to start working from home, oh my goodness, I would spend like so much money on like food every single day. Like I'd buy my lunches out, sometimes I'd buy breakfast out, I'd buy snacks out. Before you know it, you've spent like £15 each day on just during the day food, like not even dinner, just daytime food. And that was such a waste of money. So yeah, eating out too often, like too much. I started bringing packed lunches in because, mate, I was really wasting money. It was bad. So not paying attention to my credit score, okay? Now listen, I think credit scores are a scam overall. Yeah, I think credit scoring, the whole system is a scam because you have to take credit to build credit, and it's dumb. But anyway, that's unfortunately the system we live in the West. So the problem with this is when you're doing things like stupid things like payday loans and all the other nonsense that I was doing, yeah, right, it affects your credit score quite badly. So then if you need to actually take out credit later on, like I did, when you have a poor credit score, when you have a poor credit score and want a credit card, these credit card companies are just like, here's someone we can take advantage of and give you the worst interest rates ever. So yeah, not paying attention to your credit score, or when I did it, terrible. Now, you know, my credit is literally perfect. Like I'm not even gonna, like, let me brag actually, because I had a poor credit score for some time, okay, for some time. I have a really old video that I did on how to increase your credit score, so I'll link it somewhere here. But yeah, I mean, and even then my credit wasn't even as good as it is now. My credit is like 999 on Experian. It's like excellent on TransUnion. It's fantastic. Do you know what I mean? It's fantastic, and I'm very proud of that because I worked hard to sort it out. But it just means that when you have good credit, if you ever need credit, which hopefully you don't, but you will, because if you get a mortgage and whatever, but if you ever need credit, you get the best interest rates, okay? It's brilliant. So yeah, pay attention to your credit score. Do not ignore your credit score. Right. Okay, right. So I think that's actually it. Yeah, lovely. There's probably more mistakes that I made, but yeah, that's about it. So I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you made it all the way to the end, can you please drop the money bag emoji? Yeah, the money bag emoji, because we're trying to save money in these streets. We're trying to not be broke in these streets. Do you know what I mean? So yeah, if you're doing any of the things that I mentioned, just stop doing them. Please stop doing them, okay? You're only hurting yourself in the long run, yeah? And that's not what we want. So I hope that video was helpful if you're terrible with money. But no, be serious, and also be serious about your money. But also I'll do another video if you guys want me to on the app that I use to track my spending, because it's literally changed my whole life. It's changed my whole life for the non-admin babes, right? So I can make that video, and also if you guys also want, I can do a video of how I cleared my credit card debt in 6 months. Years and years of credit card debt in 6 months. So yeah, let me know. But yeah, all right. Also, don't forget to give the video a like if you enjoyed the video, and if you like me and you enjoyed the video, then subscribe to my channel for more content, you know. All right, okay, I'll see you guys later. Bye.